Hello, my name is Isaac, um, and this is a podcast or series of podcasts that I have titled Leader for Newbies. I don't mean any offence when I say newbies, but this is a podcast that is aimed towards younger musicians or older who are looking to explore leader, a genre of art song in classical music. It's for anyone really, uh, and I want to share my passion for something that I've grown to love over the past couple of years. I'm a fourth year undergraduate studying classical music. I'm a baritone. I'm 22 years old, and I enjoy singing Lieder, German Lieder. Um, when I first came to studying at a conservatoire, which is Trinity Laban, is where I study. When I came in, I didn't really have much of a clue about Lieder at all. I knew of art song in general. Um, I'd sung a lot of Vaughan Williams and a bit of George Butterworth and a bit of Elgar as well beforehand, and I really enjoyed singing some English music. Yeah, both Vaughan Williams and Butterworth did some really good song cycles, really in-depth song cycles as well. We got Songs of Travel and what was Butterworth? What was the song cycle called? Oh, I can't remember. That's really annoying. But it's a great. They do some great song cycles and they're both very famous. Vaughan Williams especially did some good orchestral writing as well. But yes, I soon after a couple of years of being in a conservatoire setting, I came across Lieder, and I was naturally drawn to it. And I hope that this podcast is going to aid other musicians into enjoying it as much as I do. Hopefully, in episodes to come, we will explore particular songs or composers, poets, song cycles, and really sort of analyse and explore the decisions made by the composers or the poets and why I like them and why I think you, the listener, should listen. And hopefully it opens your eyes. Leader is something that I feel like you have to listen to. Get the translation and just listen to it. Because, well, without the translation there, as someone who sings this type of music, you need to know what you're singing about in the same way that, you need to know what you're listening to, what the context is. But yeah, I've got a quote here from a Spanish historian, Josep Eynard, I think is how you say his name. And he says, in art song, it is essential to explain both music and lyrics. And I agree with this statement. Lieder specifically composed by people like Beethoven and Schubert, two great composers, by the way. Lieder, they're very good at explaining the lyrics through the music, whether that's harmonically specific chord changes or or key changes or chord choices or specific, rhythmic ideas, dynamic, or, performance marking. There's so much that these composers do, these little subtle things that really bring out the text. And some of the text as well, like by poets like not Gretchen's, why did I say that? Poets like Rukert and von Goethe. These guys, these poems, and they are incredible on their own. But we're so lucky that these composers chose these texts to highlight them and really help bring the writing to life, because they're good texts on their own, but next to music, they're something else. They're insane. Especially Schubert was very good at it. I don't know. To me, Schubert's like the Shakespeare of Lieder. He was just so good at it. I'm sure a lot of people will agree. But there's so many composers that did amazing Lieder. You got Brahms, both Schumanns, Clara and Robert. I chose a couple pieces by Clara Schumann for one of my exams last year, and wow, incredible! By the way, these tiny little pieces, like one or 2 pages long, they are incredible. A very good composer, Clara, and from what I've read from research, she was also a very good performer, very good pianist. So hopefully we'll explore her. And Robert, I'd like to do a sort of episode on those two joint together. That'll be quite interesting, could be quite fun. But yeah, Lieder explores a lot of, not simple's the wrong word, but Lieder explores a lot of emotions that most people have felt. Love, longingness. I was speaking to my mum a while ago, and she just says all Lieder's dark and sad. And that's not the case. There are lots of examples of not happy, but more, pieces of Lieder that have a more joyous tone to them. But these ones that are darker, the ones about love or longingness or sadness or anger, that for me they're my favourite. You can really, really get into those. And yeah, like I said, these emotions there. Most people have felt these things. It means singers can, really sort of get deep into these emotions, really bring this music home, bring these emotions home to really give a natural performance, a real performance to the audience. And again, the audience, leading on from that, the audiences that you sing in front of when you're singing Lieder, completely different to the audience you would sing opera in front of. Don't get me wrong, I'm a big fan of opera. The costumes, the makeup, the massive, like, grand scale of it. It's amazing to watch, amazing to listen to, and some of the voices, wow, incredible. But there's something about Lieder. You perform in auditoriums for opera, and I don't know, you could have thousands, hundreds or thousands, of people watching you. Far away, can't really look at them in the eyes, the light's in the way. But with Lieder, if you're in a concert hall, or with any art song really, you're in a concert hall, recital hall, you can see the front row. You could, speak to them if you wanted to. You can really see what they're feeling, their emotions. You're that close to them. And that's what I like. That's what I like. And that's what I think a lot of other singers like as well. That intimate nature that you get with leader. I've got a quote here from probably one of my favourite performers, favourite singers. I've been lucky enough to sing in a masterclass of his, but the baritone James Newby, Trinity Laban alum as well, which is quite nice. He said, when referring to leader compared to opera, you can really feel that the audience, you can really feel that they're right there with you in reference to the audience. Everybody is really on board with the same emotional context. It's true. It's so much more intimate. Your pianist, and you're performing to, let's say, 100 people. It's just like, you can, as a musician, I feel like my job is to make the audience feel something, whether that's, make them upset, make them happy. As a musician, that's your job. I think, as a singer, maybe as a singer. Well, as any, if you're a violinist, you want someone to feel emotion when you're playing. And yeah, I think leader's the best way to do it, in my opinion. Maybe it's a bit biased, but I think it's good music to sing. Really, really, really good music to sing. And hopefully this podcast showcases that, for one. The other important issue I want to address with this whole idea of doing a podcast about leader is that this idea that classical music it's not dying. I don't think classical music is dying, but I don't know, not many people seem that interested in it. I don't know why that is. Well, I've got an idea why. There's a statistic here from the National Endowment for the Arts in the US, that is, that 4.6% of US adults attended a classical music performance in 2022. Now, has the COVID outbreak had an impact on that? Potentially, maybe. But then when you look at this other statistic from the same survey, that other genres like pop and rock music have increased from 15% of adults in 2017 to 21.2% in 2022. So it's not necessarily down to COVID. I think it is to do with the genre. Now, why? Why? That's the question. Why is classical music hasn't got as much attention as pop or rock? Classical music's been going on for years longer. Could it be down to not many schools offering orchestral or classical lessons or classes? Probably. The fact that these aren't being offered, it means that parents would have to go and pay for private lessons. And as we know, in the world that we live in currently, not everyone has the ability to go and pay for these private lessons. So they don't. That's my theory. And it's a shame. It's a shame. Classical music shouldn't just be niche. It shouldn't be niche, I think. It shouldn't be like some sort of elitist pastime for people who are a little bit more lucky or a little bit more well off than others. Everyone should be able to enjoy classical music, whether that's listening to it, playing it, and I really hope this podcast maybe influences some people to get into it. And yes, leader's probably a bit of a very small subsection or subgenre of classical music, classical vocal music, that is. But I don't know. I think a lot of people sort of turn their head at leader. It's very traditional. It has to. A lot of people think it needs to be performed in a certain way, or in a traditional way. I don't know why, and I hope that I can sort of explore that with you, the listener. I hope that we can sort of explore that in these series of podcasts. And yeah, I hope that sort of, I don't know, does it dip your toes into the world of leader? Does it dip your toes into thinking, yeah, I'm going to go and listen to another one of these? I hope so. If not, that's okay. I don't expect you to. But in future episodes, we will be delving into exploring people like Schubert. You know, the relationship between Schubert and Goethe. Wow. Great. Some of the stuff that they came up with, incredible. You know, Beethoven. I'd like to look at Beethoven's like only ever song cycle. And Die Fern geliebt. To My Distant Beloved. It's a really interesting cycle of music that I think we could explore. And like I said earlier, yeah, Robert Schumann, Clara Schumann, love to look at it. Even like just poets. Rukert, we could do a whole episode on Rukert. I'll have to get some ideas together and do some research, explore, and let you know what's going on. But, yeah, I hope this is whet your appetite, maybe. I don't know. But yes, I shall be back. And in the meantime, maybe you should have a little listen to some leader. So I am going to play a small excerpt of some Schubert at the end of this, sung by myself, to hopefully maybe entice you into listening to more. So here is Der Atlas by Franz Schubert. It is part of his song cycle Schwanengesang, which translates to Swan Song. It's one of the last sort of, not cycles, but large works that Schubert composed before his death. His very early death, by the way. He didn't live very long, which is a real shame. But we shall explore that in a further episode. But I hope you enjoy, and I will speak to you soon.
Stolzes Herz, du hast es ja gewollt. Du wolltest glücklich sein, unendlich glücklich, oder unendlich elend, unendlich elend.